So apparently, when there's a large group of people who
People committed by men without motives, without convictions, without wicked hearts or demonic wills.
No te sientas menos que nadie.
We said it could never happen here. We said it could never happen again. But somehow, it's here. Everything we've been warned about, and so much more. A system of worldwide control, based on the worst criminal regimes of the 20th century, but evolved, perfected through technology, to even deadlier levels of ruthless efficiency. This is it. What we've always been taught to prepare for. What we grew up watching movies and documentaries for. The reason why we read and still read novels, plays, poetry, essays, biographies. In school, we participated in social experiments. For this, we sat listening to survivors tell their stories. Every one of us studied the past. Every one of us learned from the past, and we remembered. All to be prepared for what we are standing face to face with right now, so we could recognize it, catch it in time, and shut it down with our collective will. But something has gone wrong. There is no apparent struggle against what is happening, no protest, no outrage, no resistance. Instead, compliance, conformity, cooperation. Men, women, and children lining up to join, as calmly as if they were waiting to get into a baseball game. And then they go on with their lives as if nothing has changed. Worse, there are those who are all too eager to welcome the conquerors, to protect and serve them, to do terrible things for them. But how can this be? We are born and raised, we believe, to resist tyranny in all its forms, to root it out and to eliminate it. According to who we are supposed to be, what is happening should be impossible. How can this be? My name is Jeremy. My name is Jeremy, and I can help answer how. I'm one of thousands of Americans, and thousands more worldwide, who play a key role in a secret revolution. 24 hours a day, we are stalked, harassed, and tortured, but not by spies, not by foreign agents, terrorists, or enemy combatants. The perpetrators are ordinary people of every ethnicity, faith, sexual orientation, economic and educational level. Whatever their personal moral codes or political inclinations may be, the members of this citizen army gladly and obediently subject us to an invasive, systematic, relentlessly cruel, and technologically advanced system of abuse, such as the world has never seen. Everywhere these high-tech crimes are taking place, communities quickly determine that the best course of action is to call victims crazy and dangerous and to wash their hands of the matter. As time goes by, I'm finding it increasingly difficult to open my mouth and speak out, like there is a crushing weight on my chest. Why say anything at all if society has long since retreated into an all but impenetrable psychological shelter? There is something, however, in which I've found a sliver of hope and purpose. To most people, it's just a historical footnote, but not to someone already written off as worthless collateral to be sacrificed in the name of progress. I'm talking about the terrors of the French Revolution, a time when the mobs were out of control, when countless lives were being swept away at a whim. But there were witnesses. The witnesses wrote down what they saw, and decades later, their first-hand accounts were used as raw material to help create social psychology and sociology. My methods, my presentation will be crude, but I would like to set down my experiences and observations from here at the heart of this madness as an eyewitness to it all. What is far more daunting than the fact that nobody wants to hear a thoroughly discredited man speak is the fundamental advantage the perpetrators possess. You see, I'm asking a lot from viewers. Beyond the time it takes to hear what I have to say, there is the energy required to engage critically with this admittedly unpleasant issue. But I'm asking more than that. Since viewers will need to question everything they have ever believed, they may be exposed to psychological stress, discomfort, and cognitive dissonance. Worst of all, the network of surveillance state snitches is already so vast and so well established at every level of society that it can even be a risk to watch the videos I'm going to make. And what do my opponents, the hidden tyrants, ask of the public? But it is not about what they're asking or demanding, but what they are offering to the world. Solutions, relief, clarity, purpose, security, comfort, harmony, euphoria. I am asking viewers to brave the freezing winds of a reality so harsh it will seem alien to them. My torturers, they invite citizens to sit by the fire among a friendly crowd. What I ask is unpleasant. It is difficult to think deeply, to analyze and process, and especially to question. But on the perpetrator's private sites, there is no straining, for there is no need to understand a language based on emotion and symbolism, only to accept and to feel. It is no chore to spend hours there, for it is engaging and addicting. There is no need to go through the trouble of being taught anything, since what is important is simply absorbed. It's truly despairing to realize you're asking the world to swim against the tide, and your enemies are building them a raft to float comfortably downstream upon. At the end of the day, it should not be up to victims alone to convince the world to wake up and stop being deceived. That's a choice the world needs to make on its own. Truthfully, it makes me sad that I simply cannot put words together well enough to even make a dent in this madness. The prospect of getting my channel started again under these circumstances overwhelms me, to say the least. But it's long past time to make an effort to break the impasse. Like guideposts along my path, I'm therefore setting two basic goals for myself. One, to describe what it's like to live as a target of this high-tech mobbing and narcissistic abuse. What is it like? In as much detail as possible. 2, to describe what the participants are like. How do they behave? How do they justify? And why do they commit these crimes? The second is the more important goal for me, because what members of society fear the most is not having to acknowledge the rights violations that are taking place. No. Most fearsome of all is having to acknowledge, to face that it's their own friends, family members, neighbors, and co-workers who are the ones carrying it all out. That's why it's so important to document these events, to watch the watchers, and to hold them accountable. Any form of injustice and corruption that rules through fear and relies upon a code of silence can be shaken to its fraudulent foundations by a single beam of light. Let us hope that one day soon it will not be just the victims alone who are shining this light. Therefore, social scientists, journalists, concerned citizens, are you interested in any of the following 21st century topics? The spread of authoritarianism, unbridled surveillance and technocracy, crowdsourced, gamified torture and systems of oppression, domestic psyops, deception, propaganda, social engineering, and gray zone warfare, mob psychology and dehumanization, persecution and scapegoating, social media-based cults and hate groups, the basics of mobbing, relational aggression, narcissistic abuse, and the pathology of power. Because it's all in there. All of that and more is part of our everyday lives. The study of our ordeal is essentially the study of the nature of evil. Why did the Holocaust happen? Why does history repeat itself despite our best efforts? Why do good people willingly follow bad men? And why do other good people do nothing? Why do we even have the concept of human rights in the first place? How are the masses controlled and manipulated with such apparent ease? We can help you understand. What we have to live through every day can help you understand. The question is, do you want to understand? In the decades since the victory over fascism, many of us have come to believe that mass-scale slaughter, injustice, and human suffering are caused exclusively by the character flaws of dictators and madmen. Preventing the next regime, the next Reich, the next war and genocide should be as simple as identifying and destroying all that is and all who are deviant. Yet the state of the world gives the lie to this principle, as any target of the surveillance matrix can attest. Evil is not what we'd like to think it is, and maybe that's been the problem all along. It is something surprisingly common, something shockingly casual. As soon as the right conditions, circumstances, and opportunity arise, it manifests immediately. Wherever perfectly normal human beings live and exist, it's never far below the surface, and its seeds always find fertile ground. Perhaps when we're willing to face this dark truth about our nature and the role every single one of us plays in making the world the way it is, perhaps on that day, a real revolution can begin.